The first thing most people never realize about construction is this: the most dangerous thing on any site is not the crane, not the height, not the machines. It is the human brain. Steel does not panic. Concrete does not feel pressure. Machines do not get tired, afraid, or overconfident. But the human mind does all of these things at once. And every mega project in history, whether it became a global icon or a silent failure, was ultimately built inside someone's head before it was built in the real world. Construction is one of the few industries where the human brain operates in constant survival mode. Noise never stops. Risk is always present. Time is always running out. Every decision carries physical consequences. A small mistake does not mean a bad email or a delayed meeting. It can mean injury, collapse, loss of life, or loss of billions. Over time, this environment rewires how people think, feel, and behave. The brain becomes sharper but also more fragile, more focused but also more blind. This is the hidden psychology of construction. Engineers are trained to believe in logic, numbers, and systems. They are taught that the world can be calculated, predicted, controlled. But the human mind is not a machine. Under pressure, even the smartest engineers begin to rely on mental shortcuts. They trust past experience more than present reality. They ignore weak signals because strong ones feel safer. They underestimate rare risks because the brain is not built to imagine disasters that have never happened before. This is why some of the biggest failures in construction history were designed by brilliant minds. The mind loves patterns. It wants stability. It wants certainty. On a construction site, certainty does not exist. Soil behaves differently every day. Weather changes plans, suppliers delay materials, workers get sick, governments change rules, budgets shrink, deadlines stay the same. So the brain does what it always does under stress. It simplifies. It filters, it chooses what feels reasonable instead of what is actually true. This is how intelligent people slowly drift into dangerous decisions without realizing it. Site managers live in a permanent psychological battlefield. Above them are investors, clients, and executives demanding speed and cost control. Below them are hundreds or thousands of workers depending on their decisions for safety and survival. Around them are risks they cannot fully control. Every day, they balance fear and authority, empathy and discipline, reality and expectation. Over time, many managers develop emotional numbness. They stop feeling stress because they cannot afford to feel it anymore. But numbness is not strength. It is a defense mechanism, and defense mechanisms always hide something underneath. Laborers experience a different psychological reality. Their world is physical, repetitive, exposed to heat, cold, dust, noise, and danger. Their bodies absorb the project long before their minds do. Many workers operate on instinct, muscle memory, and routine, but long exposure to high-risk environments changes how the brain processes danger. After weeks or months without accidents, the brain begins to normalize risk. Heights feel lower, heavy loads feel lighter, safety rules feel optional. This is not arrogance. It is neurological adaptation. The brain reduces fear to conserve energy, and this is exactly when accidents happen. Mega projects do not only reshape landscapes, they reshape collective psychology. When a city builds a massive bridge, a giant tower, or a futuristic tunnel, it sends a message to the human mind. It says growth is unlimited. It says ambition has no ceiling. It says humans are in control of nature. These structures become symbols of power, progress, and identity. People begin to emotionally attach themselves to concrete and steel. They feel pride in buildings they never designed. They defend projects they do not understand. Architecture becomes psychology made visible, but ambition has a shadow. The bigger the project, the stronger the ego around it. Mega projects attract visionaries, but also attract narcissism. Leaders begin to identify themselves with the project. Criticism feels personal. Delays feel like attacks. Risks feel like insults. When ego replaces feedback, systems break silently. Engineers stop reporting bad news. Managers hide problems. Consultants soften warnings. The project continues to look perfect on paper while collapsing mentally behind the scenes. This is how smart engineers make stupid mistakes, not because they lack intelligence, but because intelligence alone cannot defeat human psychology. The brain is biased toward success stories, not failure patterns. It remembers iconic skyscrapers, not forgotten collapses. It studies achievements, not warnings. It believes it is more rational than it actually is. And under extreme pressure, the brain becomes even more confident, even more selective, even more blind. Cost overruns are rarely technical problems. They are psychological ones. Overconfidence leads to unrealistic schedules. Optimism bias leads to underestimated risks. Groupthink silences uncomfortable questions. Authority bias makes junior engineers afraid to challenge senior decisions. Loss aversion makes teams continue failing strategies because they have already invested too much to stop. By the time numbers explode, the real failure already happened inside human thinking months or years earlier. Burnout is the silent epidemic of construction. Long hours, constant urgency, permanent responsibility, and minimal emotional rewards slowly drain mental energy. The brain remains in alert mode for too long, cortisol levels stay high, sleep becomes shallow, focus declines, creativity disappears, people begin to operate on autopilot. They still show up, still work, still manage, but internally they are empty. Burnout does not look like collapse. It looks like normal performance without passion, and passion is the invisible fuel of complex problem solving. Extreme environments push psychology even further. In deserts, heat distorts time perception. Days blend together. Fatigue increases risk tolerance. Offshore platforms isolate workers from society, family, and normal life. High-rise projects create constant vertical stress, where the brain never fully relaxes because the ground feels distant and unreal. In tunnels, darkness and confinement trigger ancient fear responses embedded deep in the human nervous system. These environments do not just challenge engineering, they challenge human identity. Yet despite all this, construction continues, not because humans are fearless, but because humans are meaning-seeking creatures. Builders do not just assemble structures, they participate in something larger than themselves. A bridge connects lives, a hospital saves futures, a city creates stories. Even in exhaustion, even in fear, even in stress, the human brain finds purpose in shaping the physical world. This is the psychological reward that keeps the industry alive. Iconic megaprojects were not built by perfect systems. They were built by imperfect minds that learned to manage their own limitations. The best leaders are not the most confident, they are the most self-aware. They understand that intelligence is dangerous without humility. That speed is meaningless without reflection. That success is not the absence of mistakes, but the ability to detect them early inside human thinking. The real battlefield of construction is not on the ground. It is in attention, perception, memory, emotion, and belief. Cranes move steel, but minds move decisions. Schedules move time, but psychology moves reality. And every project that rises or falls is ultimately a reflection of how well humans understand themselves while trying to control the world. In the end, construction is not about buildings. It is about the human desire to leave a mark on existence, to turn ideas into matter, to transform imagination into geography. Concrete and steel are just physical expressions of mental courage, fear, ambition, and resilience. We do not only build cities, we build mirrors of our own minds. And every structure standing on Earth today is proof that the human brain, with all its flaws and biases, is still the most powerful construction machine ever created.